Messi sur son pied gauche, il y a un bon coup à jouer pour les Parisiens. Messi qui va s'appuyer sur Mbappé. Messi, Léo Messi, l'éclair du génie est arrivé. Léo Messi
Hello and welcome to the latest installment of PSG Talking. I'm your host Ed, and on today's show, we're talking all about the FIFA World Cup. Joining me once again is Ethan from PSG Fan Club Boise. Ethan, thanks for coming on. How are things on your end?
Yeah, it's good, man. I don't know about you, but it just started snowing a bit today here in Boise. So, but yeah, it's been good. Been having a lot of fun watching the World Cup so far.
Yeah, it's good to have this World Cup in the winter. We've had quite a bit of snow here in Utah, and it's been in the low 30s, upper 20s. So it's been nice to just kind of chill on the couch and watch a little football. So, and yes, we're calling it football, even though we're in America. That whole campaign. What do you think about that campaign and that chant? It's called soccer or whatever.
Yeah, I don't love it. I get it's sort of a chant of pride,
Yeah.
Kind of that's one of our things. It's like the new "We Believe" chant. I kind of feel like, but no, I've always called it football unless I'm with people that don't watch football a bunch. But yeah, it is kind of funky, but people can do whatever they want, I guess. But
Call it whatever.
It is football. I just use football and American football if I'm trying to distinguish. So.
That's a good point. Yeah, we believe that we can win, or however that goes. It's very cringy. I never liked that chant.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get into the World Cup because there's been several high-profile casualties in the group stage. We saw Mexico, Germany, Belgium, which I believe was like the number 2 team in the world ranked. Uruguay, they all failed to make the knockout stage. We also saw some surprises with Morocco and Hakimi advancing on. Japan, which you said look out for Asian football this tournament. So there you go. For you, though, what has been the standout story of this World Cup so far?
The standout. I think Morocco winning their group was pretty cool for me. I wasn't able to watch a lot of their games as those were usually the 3 or the 4 a.m. games here in Boise. For you as well, since we're in the same time zone. But Morocco topping that group, I mean, Belgium is ranked second in the world, but I feel like people don't really pay attention to those rankings. And I think we all knew coming in that they probably weren't a top 10 team. But I just felt like that group was so there were none of the favorites. I'm not expecting Croatia to make the final again, but all those teams were real solid. And I just thought they would all have a little more quality than Morocco at the end of the day. But apparently not. I was also pretty bummed out that our neighbors to the north, Canada, did not have a good World Cup campaign. But yeah, I love seeing Hakimi and Morocco top that group.
Yeah, I think that would definitely be, if you're looking for the surprise, that certainly would be it. I'm going to pat myself on the back, similar to you calling out Asian football. I thought that Switzerland would do well this tournament. They advance on. They will be playing as they click over. They will playing Portugal. Bril Embolo is another player I called out from Monaco. He was fantastic, scoring a few goals, I believe. So they advance on. I don't know if that's the talk of the tournament, the story or anything, but certainly a surprise there along with Morocco. I would say, and we'll get to this topic next, but I think France has to be up there just because look at their injury list. I mean, their injury list could probably make a World Cup. And they've just come in here, haven't missed a beat. Mbappe's playing fantastic. And a lot of people thought that they would take a step down, maybe struggle, maybe not top their group. And they just kept on clicking. I've been very impressed with their play. And, of course, Brazil, they've been playing very well. We'll talk about Neymar's injury as well. But I guess we can transition into the France match. So they advance to the quarterfinals. Mbappe with 2 goals. And Olivier Giroud becomes the all-time leading scorer for France. He scored the first goal of the game. What did you think of that performance from France, if you want to talk about their performance in the tournament overall? And then we've got to get into Mbappe, who, once again, is putting the world on notice that he, not Erling Haaland, is the best player in the world.
Yeah, so France obviously they weren't in the toughest group ever. I didn't think Denmark would do as poorly as they did, but they did what was important. They won their first two group stage games, and they were kind of able to coast in that third match against Tunisia, where they didn't need the win. They didn't even need a draw. They just needed to really not get blown out, and we knew that was never going to happen. So I think it was big that they were able to rest a lot of the guys. Mbappe didn't play 90 minutes; he played 25, and yeah, so solid group stage for them. Nothing crazy, like I said, they weren't in the toughest group, but as far as today, that was a real good performance. Obviously, the first half was a bit dicey for a while, where there were a couple. Lloris had to make a couple saves, and I'm forgetting who made a clearance off the line. I forget, but I
Yeah,
forget.
it was one of the defenders for France, but it was like Lloris really was creating his own issues. It was a poor clearance and just
Yeah,
I don't know what he was thinking. And luckily he was able to step up and make that save. And then there was a scramble. So Poland certainly could have gotten on the board first with a goal. Just France were very PSG like with the defending scrambling at the back, but they were able to hold on. And then man, Mbappe. Well, first let's talk about Giroud. He comes in and scores that goal, all-time leading scorer. I feel like Giroud is like one of those underrated strikers out there that people just kind of forget about. But France is a big team with a lot of really high-profile players, and no one scored more goals than him. That's pretty amazing accomplishment.
yeah, I feel exactly the same way. He's always been so underrated. I don't know. I can't even think of what his best club season was like. I'm not even sure. It was probably with Chelsea, wasn't it? I really haven't followed his career that much
I
outside of
was thinking Arsenal. He had played
yeah,
there for several years. I guess from 2012 to 2018. I think that was the longest he's been with a team.
really. Wow. I see. Like I said, I just haven't followed his club career very closely. I really didn't think he was at Arsenal for 6 years, but yeah, whenever.
180 appearances, 73 goals.
Well, it was 73. Yeah, for
Yeah.
that's not a great goal scoring rate, but whenever he's with France, the guy just turns it on, and yeah, and then obviously we can't forget about Kylian Mbappe, the current best player in the world, with an assist and the assist to Giroud and two goals. So he once again showed us all why he's the best player in the world right now.
And he's going to get a chance because he's likely going to have to play. We'll have to see later today. We're recording this podcast on Sunday morning, our time, mountain time here in the United States, and England and Senegal will kick off here shortly. And if it's France versus England, that's going to be very interesting. A lot of those Premier League players, everyone says Mbappe's got to get out of France and Ligue 1 to really prove himself. Well, he's going to be going up against pretty much an entire team of Premier League, the best that the Premier League has, essentially. And if he's able to dominate and score goals, I think that will silence any of that conversation where it's like, okay, Haaland's here scoring against Bournemouth, so he's better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, and well, unfortunately, I agree with you, but unfortunately, people will always make the argument because some people will always say, well, playing a knockout game against an English side, like he's done in the Champions League, or if he does it in the World Cup here, it's not the same as playing a 38 game Premier League season. Which, yeah, I mean, whatever. But I do agree. This is there's probably a little more. Obviously there's more at stake for these kind of games, and I don't think you can use that kind of argument against him. But I mean, we've seen him do it in the Champions League. The guy has, I think he averages over a goal or an assist per game in the Champions League for his career. I think it's pretty clear he can do this on the highest level.
And I love the stat. They were saying they use this metric of how fast he can run, and then they put it into like a 40 time because that's what us Americans are used to when, NFL players at the combine and such. And I think they said in a game he was running like a 3.840, something like that, which, in the NFL, the fastest players run, I don't know, like a 3.4, something like that.
4.2,
Or
yeah.
4.2. Yeah, I mean, might be getting my numbers incorrect, but he's essentially lightning fast, faster than any. And this is during a game that Mbappe is doing it. We saw it several times where he would try to get a touch and just sprint past a Polish defender, and they did really good in sticking with him and kind of muscling. I saw a few times they tugged on his shirt. It's really the only way to stop him. But his pace is just something that translates to any level, any league, and it's what makes him elite.
Yeah, I'm sure that the metric they use for his 40 time, a 3.8, I'm sure that was probably used when he's doing a already running start. But regardless, I even think if his acceleration is so good, obviously we see it all the time, that I feel like if he had to run a 40 just like they do in the NFL Combine,
Yeah.
it wouldn't surprise me if he was in the 4.1s, but he'd probably be in the 4.2s just with the fastest NFL players. And he's like you said, Matty Cash and what was the other guy's name? Kaminsky for Poland. They were getting cooked all game long, and I tweeted in the first half after Mbappe had burnt Kaminsky again. I said, it is only a matter of time before Mbappe connects with someone on one of these crosses with his weak foot, and then about 10 minutes later, it wasn't a cross, but he got the assist to Giroud. So yeah.
And I think Matty Cash definitely has to win the award for best name at the World Cup. Hands down. Great name.
Yeah. It's hilarious that he represents Poland, too. I'm pretty sure the guy grew up in England and everything, but one of his parents are Polish. So I don't blame the guy for trying to get international caps, even though he probably doesn't feel as Polish as everyone else. But, yeah, I get it. It's a business decision. But, yeah, he definitely has a great name.
Let's keep it moving here, Ethan. So we want to talk about Neymar. So he went down with a pretty nasty ankle injury in Brazil's opening match. He was getting roughed up all game, and in the injury he was getting tackled, and they kind of like rolled on his ankle. I believe it was Serbia, and they were just roughing him up. And I saw the ankle injury, and as PSG fans, we've seen that same injury several times throughout his career here at PSG. I thought he'd be done for the World Cup, but apparently he may be able to play tomorrow as Brazil get ready to take on South Korea. What were your thoughts as soon as you saw the injury? And as PSG fans, should we be worried that he's going to play so soon after what is very clearly a sprained ankle?
Yeah, when I saw that, I studied sports science in college, and I'm by no means an expert, but when I saw it, I didn't think it was like some of the past ones where he's missed months. I definitely thought, ooh, yeah, that his World Cup might be over, but a lot of those, if that was a grade, I think grade 1, I forget if you use high numbers or low numbers for the severity of those injuries, but I immediately thought that could be just a light sprain, and he could be back in a week or two. So I predicted that he would be back for the quarterfinals. I hope they're not rushing him tomorrow. I mean, South Korea is good, but I feel like if he's not 100% completely back to his normal self, I feel like he should start on the bench. But yeah, when I first saw it, I don't know why. For some reason, I wasn't as worried as before. I think I had this feeling that this is just going to be his World Cup, and this is his year, and this is his comeback. So maybe I was a bit naive thinking, oh, he's invincible right now. But
yeah, it just always seems to go, not our way as PSG fans. Always our players are always the ones getting injured, and so I saw that and I was like, yikes. But then I thought, I didn't study sports medicine or anything like that, but growing up playing sports, I played basketball, and anyone who plays basketball, you'll roll your ankle. It's just not if when. And the first time I did it, I broke my ankle. And now, I'm in my 30s. If I roll my ankle coming down the stairs or something, my ligaments are so stretched out that if I roll my ankle, it might hurt for a second, but I just keep walking and it's fine. And I wonder if we're getting to that stage with Neymar, that he has sprained, broken, stretched those ligaments in his ankle so many times that I just wonder if it's like spaghetti at this point, where it's just kind of flexible, and he'll turn it, might look nasty, but maybe he just needs a couple days to get over it. Is there any truth to that, since you've actually studied this?
You know what? I wish I knew a little more, but that could make sense to me. If you're so used to, especially because it's not well, I mean, I guess ligaments are injuries like that to ligaments are sometimes really tough to come back from, just like ACL or yeah, like ACL tears. But I know
Yeah.
it's a little different there on the ankle. But yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if his ankle has been damaged so many times that it's just hardened to potential hits and injury. I'm not sure though.
Yeah. Well, one thing I do feel good about is that this World Cup, being in Qatar, you know, there's plenty of PSG representatives. I'm sure Nasser is there. So if they were rushing Neymar back, they're right there. They'll know about it. I am sure they're talking to Brazil. Do you need additional trainers? Do you need facilities? Whatever Neymar needs, I'm sure PSG and Qatar are providing it. And if they are rushing him back, I'm sure that PSG executive, someone would leak that to the media or something like that, that they were rushing him back and he's clearly not ready. So if he's going to play, I feel okay about it. So PSG fans, rest assured. I don't know if he'll start though. I can see him maybe coming in second half, 60th minute, something like that, and playing. Do you expect him to start? What do you expect from Neymar tomorrow?
No, I don't expect him to start. I feel like Brazil, they'll expect to obviously beat South Korea, and if they're gonna win the World Cup, they're gonna almost certainly need Neymar at 100%. So I don't think he'll start. Like you said, if they're in danger in the second half, then I bet he comes on for sure. But I just think, you know, there's such short turnarounds between games. I mean, if they win, their next game is on the 9th, which is Friday. So I believe it's Friday. Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah,
Friday.
yeah.
So yeah, it's just like the fatigue, and it's good that it's 26-man rosters this year, add a tiny bit more depth, but there's such short turnaround that if a guy gets injured again, then he's basically done for the tournament.
Yeah, and so Brazil, they'll take on South Korea tomorrow, and then they'll play the winner of Japan Croatia. So relatively easy, compared to some of the other teams. Argentina, they're going to take on Netherlands. So Messi will take on Netherlands, who looked very, very good. I'm not sure if this is a good Netherlands side or if that was just a really bad performance from the U.S. Any thoughts on that U.S. performance?
Uh, you
I
know,
guess Netherlands, they lost 3-1.
yeah. So I think the Netherlands were pretty good, um, although for the U.S., Greg Berhalter definitely got outcoached by Louis Van Gaal, but and then we just kind of showed our inexperience as well. So it was kind of a not a perfect storm because it's not like we played awful, but we also weren't ultra competitive. I mean, at the end there, it was dicey for 5 minutes after Haji Wright scored in the 75th minute to make it 2-1. That was one of the weirdest goals I've ever seen. That was the most Brazilian goal I've ever seen. I think I saw someone say it just went off like the back of his foot and kind of rainbowed over into the top left corner. It was super weird, but no, the Netherlands were much better than us, and yeah, like I said, we just kind of got outplayed in every facet of the game.
Well, this brings me to my next question. Has there been a player at the World Cup that has caught your eye and you think would be a good fit at PSG? And I can answer this one first since we were just talking about the U.S. Tyler Adams. I was beyond impressed with him. I knew that he was a very good player, but I feel like in this World Cup, we saw him just, especially against England, where he just controlled that midfield. He did everything. If one of his teammates needed help, pressing or covering a passing lane or something, he was there. He was great at the link up play, feeding the attack, which, didn't score many goals, but I just felt like he was in the midfield just doing everything. Offensively, defensively, he was everywhere. I loved his passion. I loved just everything that he brought to the game, and I thought he was easily the United States' best player. And we could certainly use a player like that in the midfield. I'm not saying he would be a starter next to Verratti, but I think it would be a really good competition between him and Vitinha. I would love to see Tyler Adams. And before you say, well, oh, he's American, he hasn't been tested, I believe he was at Leipzig and now he's at Leeds. So he's been in big leagues. He's been playing for a while. Unfortunately, I think he's got like a 5-year deal at Leeds, so it probably would cost a lot if Leeds would even sell him. But I just thought that he was a player that really impressed me and plays in a position that we could certainly use at PSG. But what about you? Was there anyone out there that caught your eye that you thought maybe PSG should go in for them in January or next summer?
Yeah, mine was also going to be Tyler Adams as a homer as well. I agree with everything you said, so I won't elaborate on that since you covered it all. But
Yeah.
honestly, trying to think of anyone else. Um, I honestly, to be honest with you, I don't know all the teams super well. I really just focus on PSG and USA and the French team, but I've always kind of wondered how Giroud would do with us. I know it's
Mm.
probably too late in his career, but I think when there was some controversy with Kylian earlier in the year, and people were thinking, oh, especially when everyone knew that Ronaldo was going to leave United, I think we some people were saying, well, oh, what if we brought in Ronaldo to kind of appease Mbappe? And I'm thinking, well, if we're going to do that, we might as well bring in Giroud because I feel like those guys have they're such a good duo in the midfield. I don't know how, or not the midfield, in the attack, and I don't know how it would quite work in our formation. I guess we could kind of go with a 4-2-3-1 at that point with Giroud up top, but yeah, I know we already went over Giroud, but he's been yeah, very, very impressive to me. And I can't think of anyone else that I'd really love. I mean, I think it's pronounced Mazraoui at Morocco. I know he
Mhm.
plays right back for Bayern and left back for Morocco, but we already have Mendes, so I feel like all the pieces that we need to win the Champions League are kind of there. We just need to make it happen. But I wouldn't hate if Giroud ever came to PSG in the future, especially if Messi doesn't extend or if Neymar's out in a few years.
Yeah, and you mentioned Nuno Mendes, who went down with an injury for Portugal early in the tournament. So again, Neymar goes down, Nuno Mendes goes down. That's unfortunate. Another name that I'll shout out is someone could be interesting. Cody Gakpo. We saw him against the U.S. With Netherlands. 6'4", plays for PSV in the Eredivisie league. I think he's been linked with some Premier League teams, but a 6'4" winger, 23 years old, got a great scoring record, international tournaments. There's been rumors Messi's going to be, leaving, maybe going to Miami in the MLS. I don't know how accurate that is, but given his age and contract situation, PSG should probably be looking for some players that could come in the attack and give Mbappe some help. I think Gakpo would be fantastic. Bright future. Would love to see him, but not sure if we can get it done. The could be new owners at Manchester United want to make a big splash. Maybe they go after him. So, but he's a player that certainly impressed me. Would love to see him come in. You kind of hinted at this, so let's just get right into it. Two controversial players, Cristiano Ronaldo and Adrian Rabiot. We disagreed on this on Twitter, so I wanted to bring it up. Let's start with Rabiot. I have been since a couple years ago. I've been writing. He's our jerk. He's our asshole. Whatever name you want to call him, but he's ours. Like he's clearly just a player that's very moody and gets in his head a little bit and makes and says the wrong things publicly. We saw what he did when he was a reserve for France and he said, just leave me off. And we saw what happened at PSG. But you know what? He's ours. And he's a really good player. He's scored a couple goals here in the tournament already. He plays in a position we really need. He would bring height to that midfield. Tell me why you don't want Rabiot back at PSG.
I just feel like maybe like 2-3 years ago, he could have maybe come back and been good, but I feel like our midfield is Vitinha. The future is bright there. We've got Zaire Emery, who I know he's only like 16, but I think he'll be one of the next great midfielders in the world, and I just don't think there's room for one more big personality at PSG. I think we've probably hit our quota of not egotistical, but we've hit our quota of kind of controversial players at PSG. And I mean, we've had Zlatan before. That was exciting to say the least. And not that Zlatan was bad or anything, but I just think if Rabiot was 23, then
Mhm.
sure. But I think he's in his 30s now, or he's got to be getting close. And I just think it's probably the ship has sailed. I think for me on him, he's a decent midfielder, but I mean, not that us bossing around, not bossing, but we beat Juventus twice. Not that that means that all of our midfielders are far better than him, but I just I don't know. I think that kind of sums it up, and I feel like we've got a couple guys that can step in and do what he would need to do. I feel like Fabian Ruiz, Soler's a little more attacking than Rabiot, I feel like, but
Mhm.
I just feel like those guys, we've got our guys, and no need to change a bunch, and especially not with a player who has just been so all over the place. And I know the media would, not that it really matters, but the media would love to sink their teeth into Rabiot and Mbappe stories. So I don't want it. I'm over that.
They would certainly wind him up, and of course, with Rabiot, if it were just him, maybe it's okay, but it's really his mom you have to worry about. And why is Mbappe and Neymar on the front of the whatever, posters and this and that, not her son? So, and Rabiot, 27 years old. So, right at that, I feel like it's a really good age for a midfielder. He's got the experience, big clubs, PSG, Juventus. I think he came up through the Manchester City system. So, I don't know. I've always kind of liked him. I kind of like those players that are a little bit moody and play with a chip on their shoulder, and and he believed himself. They put him on the reserve team, and he's like, no, I'm better than that. And we're seeing in this tournament, sure, it took a couple injuries, but he's in the midfield and he's played really well. I can't say that he looks out of place there with France, who you could argue are the best national team in the world right now. So if we could get him, I would like to have him. But your point is well taken that his mom and it just, yeah, a lot of egos in that dressing room.
Yeah.
Speaking of egos, now let's talk about Cristiano Ronaldo. Before the tournament, there was a Piers Morgan interview and all this other stuff. So Manchester United have basically just cut ties with him. So he's available after the World Cup, I believe, on a free transfer. So you would, just pay whatever his wages that he would want, and he could play for your team. So we know Mbappe idolized him as a kid with all the posters. We've seen the picture. He can clearly still play. There was a picture where he's leaping above everyone to get to a header, and that's certainly something that we're missing at PSG. We have no aerial threat with any of our attackers. And also, given PSG's injury history, do you think PSG should entertain bringing Ronaldo to the French capital?
Mm, I know a lot of people might not like me for this, but I would not entertain it. I was thinking, yeah, he'd be a great aerial threat, and that was the one reason why I was trying to think, would it be a good idea? But I still feel like, just if we get one guy, just Ronaldo, I don't feel like our wing backs are going to change the way they play. I don't think we're going to see Nuno and Hakimi trying to whip in a bunch more crosses, at least not to an extent that it's an effective rate of crossing. So I feel like he doesn't quite fit the team. I feel like we are just a team that, and maybe this is one of our reasons why we don't win the Champions League each year, but I just feel like we're a team that we've just kind of given up on trying to win aerial, headers in the box. And maybe that is something that I'm certainly not a tactical expert, but I feel like that's just kind of where we're at. We've accepted that we're not going to be good at that. We're not even that good at defending headers on the defense, as we've seen this fall in the past couple of years. But I just feel like he doesn't really fit the play style anymore, and he's badly out of form. I mean, I know Nasser has said, no more, what was it, no more bling bling or something like that. But I
Yeah,
think,
yeah.
if Ronaldo is gonna come here, and if we're really gonna try and turn into a team that crosses a lot more, then sure, I think we should entertain it. I just don't think we're gonna do that. And if his salary is gonna be anything over like 10, 15 million, I feel like just forget about it, which I feel like he's going to ask for much more. I think he was making 33 or 34 mil at United. So I don't see him taking that big of a pay cut. I'm sure someone like maybe Chelsea or maybe Bayern or maybe even going back to his childhood club Sporting would probably
Hmm.
be willing to shell out a lot more money.
I would imagine he would want Champions League football. Like I think his ego wouldn't let him go anywhere. I'm not sure. Is Sporting, are they
They are
Champions
not.
League? They're not in the
No,
round of
no,
16. Okay.
no. I don't even think they. No, they were out of the big three for Portugal. They were the one that were stuck in the Europa League this year, and I think they're.
Aha.
I checked the other day. They're fourth in the table. I think right now. I think Braga might be ahead of them.
Okay.
Don't hold me to that. I don't have it in front of me, but yeah, that is the one thing I'm thinking. It would be a great story, but yeah, I agree. He'll probably want Champions League football, which is why I don't think he'll go to Sporting. If Sporting was running away with the league like Benfica is right now,
Mhm.
then I think he'd consider it. But yeah, I don't expect it to happen
I
unless
just
he's
yeah.
just unless he's just kind of over the idea of playing Champions League football. But no, what were you gonna say?
I was just gonna say you look at the teams in the Champions League, which is clearly what he's going to want to play in. I think his options are extremely limited. You mentioned Chelsea. I can maybe see that. I don't know. Tottenham, it's not really a move that they would do. Bayern, I can't imagine they would do that move. Manchester City, no, I can't see that. Napoli, not really. It's really PSG. They've got the money to do it. They have the track record of doing this kind of thing. And for me, I just wonder, I mean, could you bring him in? I don't know, can you sign like a 6 month contract? Does it need to be like a full year? I just wonder, can you bring him in as an insurance policy per se? And just, with the injury history, we just saw Neymar roll his ankle. I mean, these things can happen at any time. There are worse players to have in your team to bring on in case of emergency. Now, is that the role that he would want to play? Probably not, especially sitting on the bench watching Messi. That's not going to happen. He's going to want to play. So then it's like, okay, you have Mbappe, Neymar, Messi. Those three guys are playing. You bring in Ronaldo. Are you just not going to have a midfield? Like, what's that formation look like? It's really difficult. I mean, I'm sure you could pull it off, but you are really, really lopsided on the pitch if you were to bring him in. So I like you. I would, if you, I'm going to ask you, if I had to put a percentage on it, I would say there's probably a 15% chance that he comes to PSG. What would you put it at?
Yeah, when you started asking that in my head, I immediately thought about 20%.
Mhm.
Yeah, just for everything you said, I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, I think a 4-2-3-1 would be good because we could have Mbappe on the left. It's just then you have to put Neymar or Messi on the right, and that's just not ideal. Um, yeah, it'd be tough. I think he's of anything, I think he's going to Chelsea if I had to pick a team. But yeah, I don't see it happening yet because exactly what you said, he's not going to want to be the guy coming off the bench, and I totally respect that decision. I totally get it, and yeah, I don't think it's going to happen because of all those reasons you listed.
Yeah, and it would be interesting if he came to France because he's won in Italy, he's won in England, he's won in Portugal, he's obviously won in Spain. So he could come to France, and if he wins a league trophy, I guess that's an accomplishment, right? Winning a title in was that 5 different countries? So
Yeah, yeah. At that point, if he wins a league title here, then for his last ever career year, he might as well just sign with Bayern for like a million a year just
yeah,
to collect that Bundesliga title and then wrap it up. He'll have all the six top leagues. He'll have won a league title in the top six. And then if he's feeling extra spicy, maybe he can go to Ajax. No, I'm joking. I wouldn't expect that.
well, hey, what about your club, LAFC? You know, they like to splash the cash, the PSG of MLS. Would they bring them in?
Yeah, I could see. Mm, I don't know. It's tough. We've got Vela and Bale has kind of he's been riding pine. He hasn't played a bunch, but he's been injured. I wouldn't expect it, but I could see as LA Galaxy has a larger fan base than LAFC and they're much more established. I could see him in the future maybe going to Galaxy or something like that. That would certainly make El Tráfico spicy. I've never been to an El Tráfico match as the tickets are always so expensive, but might have to shell it out for that one. But
Actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, doesn't he have some kind of legal issues where he doesn't want to be in the United States?
oh yeah, I don't know if that's actually true. I feel like that's always
Some
spammed
of the
on Twitter.
tabloids.
No, I know what you're talking about, and if you don't know, for listeners, just look it up, but I don't know if that's a legit thing. I think that just might be haters trying to slander him. But I don't know if he can come to the U.S. or not. I don't think. I don't think it's really important. But who knows?
Yeah, we're not going to get into it, but allegedly, we'll use all those words. We don't want to get sued here at PSG Talk, but if you know, you know what's going on there. So okay, so you're a no on Ronaldo and Rabiot. I'm probably a no on Ronaldo, but give me a little bit of Rabiot. I like that. We touched on Messi just a little bit, but as we look at the bracket here, and we're getting ready to wrap up here, you know, we mentioned Argentina's taking on Netherlands. I really like Argentina's chances, but things could get very spicy here after the quarterfinals. You could have Argentina, Brazil. You could have, France taking on potentially Spain. Or Portugal. I mean, you got some high-profile players all just coming together here in the semifinal, potentially and beyond. You could have, I don't know, it's still technically we could get Messi and Ronaldo in a final. As you look at the bracket, is there a potential matchup that you're really excited about that you really hope happens?
Yeah, I really hope that. Well, I'd be bummed because I want them both to win the World Cup. If France doesn't win it, but Brazil Argentina would be that would be kind of crazy. That would be on the 13th if it happened in the semifinals. Yeah, Twitter would explode for that one probably. Not as much as if it was Argentina Portugal, but those two South American countries, you know, obviously longtime rivals, and they're always the ones competing for Copa Americas, except for Chile a couple times there in the last couple years. But that one would be crazy, especially because it'd be guaranteed that a South American team would be in the final. Obviously, the Messi and Neymar showdown. Yeah, that one would be the most spicy for me.
We talked about it earlier. I'm really excited for France, hopefully playing England. A lot of storylines there. I love that. I'm really hoping for a final of France and Brazil, Mbappé versus Neymar. I think that would be an incredible game. They're easily the two best nations in the world right now playing fantastic football. Two PSG superstars going head to head. Can France repeat? Can Neymar finally lead Brazil coming back from an injury? I mean that's appointment viewing. I would love to see that. So I'm really hoping for a France and Brazil final. Be incredible.
That would be super fun. I'd have to root for France in that one, obviously being French American, but I would feel so gutted for whoever loses. But yeah, that one would be super, super high profile.
Yeah, and let's not forget about Morocco. Our boy Hakimi's doing big things. I like their chances against Spain, although they've been playing really well. But Morocco, they can get past Spain. I like their chances against Portugal or Switzerland. So look out for them to make a little run here as well. So, Ethan, I kept you here long enough. It's a nice little kind of midway through the World Cup. We can just pause and chat a little bit about everything that we're seeing. A lot of storylines involving PSG players. So lots to pay attention to. So thank you so much for coming on. Let the fine folks listening know how they can interact with you on Twitter.
At Twitter, I'm at PSG_Boise.
Fantastic. And I am Ed. You can always find me at PSG Talk. Make sure to head on over to psgtalk.com. We've got some World Cup coverage. The boys are cranking them out. And thank you as always for listening. Go ahead and leave us a review wherever you're listening to this. It's much appreciated. And we'll try to do another one. We'll get Ethan on. We'll chat post World Cup. We'll see if our predictions and everything we were hoping to see actually happened. And we'll just kind of recap the whole tournament and then turn our attention to the second half of the PSG season. So thanks again for listening, and we'll catch you next time. Bye, everyone.